We have Matthew Bolger, the Legislative Director of the American Humanist Association. Please come on up, Matt. Second, we have Dr. Mike Gauss, founder of the Center for Pluralism. And then third, we have Vishabjit Singh, who is a Sikh and is talking about the failure of the Indian governments for the last 34 years to bring to justice the perpetrators of mass killings of Sikhs in 1984. So welcome, members of the second panel. This one is called Challenges and Opportunities. I think, Mr. Singh, you might have some of yours will be a status report, but then we have the challenges and opportunities. So would you like to go first?
Sure.
And then we'll go to Matt and Dr. Gauss.
Thank you, first of all, to the organizers for having me here. I had a last-minute invitation from New York, which is where I came in from today. We're actually today in a city that I was born in, so this is my birth city, and I spent the first 4 years of my life in Washington, D.C., and then I moved with my parents, who happen to be from India. So I spent part of my childhood in India, and so I'm going to share a story with you about a carnage, a persecution that happened in 1984. I like to call it the biggest state-sponsored act of terrorism in modern India, in independent India. So in the year 1984, October 31st, the Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was shot and killed by two of her bodyguards. And for the next 4 days, in cities across India, including Delhi, which is the capital of India, where I was staying at the time with my parents, mobs formed that hunted down Sikh men, mostly Sikh men and boys, by their turbans, beards, and long hair. We had a mob that came to our house. We were fortunate that kids, teenagers, somehow had a sense of street wits. So they talked this mob out of actually coming and killing our family, myself and my parents. But many thousands were not that lucky. So for the next 4 days, there was full impunity. I saw police officers actually guiding mobs in front of my own eyes. And by the time this was said and done, November 3rd, 4th, thousands of Sikh men were burnt alive by having kerosene poured on them. Women were raped, and houses of worship destroyed, houses destroyed, schools destroyed. So when I first walked out on the streets of Delhi, I mean, my school was destroyed, my house, the house of worship we used to visit, Gurdwara, was destroyed. And it was incredible. I mean, so one of the things that happened is we don't know exactly how many people were killed. And that's one of the most sort of fundamental aspects of when governments, state-sponsored killings happen, you control that narrative. And that's very critical to everything that has been discussed today. How do you control the narrative? Because something happens, it doesn't end there. Now you want to control that story. So we'll never know how many people were killed. The numbers are, official numbers 3,000, 10,000, 15,000. We just don't know. We're not going to find the remains because these men were burnt alive. They're gone. What's been happening is you've had commissions that have sat through and said, hey, the government did it, let's do this, let's do that. Just about everybody got away. People got elected. People got promoted. Only, as far as I know, 14 or 15 of the murders have been tried and convicted, and that's it. So what happened in 1984, targeting Sikhs, set the stage for powers to be, doesn't matter, BJP, Congress, anybody else, to know you can kill with impunity, as many people as you like, in a democracy and get away with it. So what's been happening for the past 34 years, I'm not talking about history here, I'm talking about contemporary events, because this event is being massaged, controlled, recreated. Truth is being sort of massaged in ways where most Americans don't know this happened. Most people outside of India don't know this happened. Most Indians who were born after 1984 do not know the details. And I'll give you a very brief detail of how this impacts Americans. A few months ago, the State Assembly of Connecticut passed a resolution that tomorrow, November 30th, will be recognized as Sikh Genocide Awareness Day. The State Assembly of the state of Pennsylvania passed another resolution last month that we will recognize 1984, what happened to Sikhs, as a genocide. A month later, 2 weeks ago, powers to be, the Indian lobby, actually got the assembly to retract that resolution. So the powers to be in India, they don't just work in India. They work all over the globe. And the reason I'm actually here, sitting here in front of you as an American citizen, I'm able to, as a cartoonist, as a writer, as a performance artist, I'm able to tell this story is because I have freedom of speech that is given to me by the American Constitution, and I know I can tell this story without fear of persecution, which I can tell you, I can assure you, I would not be able to do this. I was living in India without attacks on me and my family's life. I would not be able to do what I'm able to do and share this story through illustrations and writings and coming here and sharing the story. So one of the most critical things we need to do is create a space so stories and narratives of survivors, of victims can be told. So perhaps, because I can tell you this, I'm not a cynic, but I know what happened in 1984, justice was not served and will not be served. But if we tell that story and give voice to that story, at least history can judge those who committed these acts of violence, state-sponsored acts of terrorism, because there's a fight over words here. India does not want to use the word genocide. All right, that's fine, but they don't want to use the word terrorism either. The biggest act of terrorism in modern India was 1984. But nobody's going to say that because it has huge implications. So my hope is, and I thank the organizers here for giving me this space to sort of share this part of my story, and I hope we can actually have many more such events and perhaps other avenues so we can sort of bring out these stories, not just of Sikhs, Dalits, Muslim, Christians, many others. This is a global issue. This is an American issue. This is a North American, European issue where we know governments use, one of the most powerful tools used by governments is to control story and narratives, massage the truth, recreate the truth to gain control, political power. And we see that happening all over the globe. Thank you very much.